So it's based around a thesis that I've developed called the exponential age, which is, I think most people are familiar with now. It's a similar thesis that other people have had as well, which is that we've got this kind of group of technologies that are in full tilt acceleration mode when we get to full adoption of these technologies. So that's AI, robotics, renewable energy sources, genetic sciences. It's a whole bunch of these technologies, including blockchain, that are all hyper accelerating at the same time. So, okay, fine. So the exponential age is really all about, this is the fastest, largest pace of change of technology that humanity will ever go through. And it's probably an entire reworking of society itself and the economy. I mean, about the economy, this is this 6-7 years business, is really it's to do with how the economic machine works. Basically, GDP growth is driven by population growth, productivity growth, and debt growth. Debt growth has basically stopped except refinancing of old debts. Then we've got population growth. Every country in the developed world is seeing collapsing population growth. So therefore, they should see collapsing GDP growth. But you've got all this debts, and we've been adding to the debts to try and counterbalance this. This has been this big super trend we've seen. And then productivity growth, because of all the old people, has collapsed as well. So what we have is non-productive, slowing economies based around demographics. Then something has just happened, which was we've just introduced infinite human knowledge and infinite humans into the economy, which is AI plus robots. People don't yet understand what this means, but we're based on a services-based knowledge economy. Manufacturing was already being replaced by machines, but this is replacing everything. Now, there's two sides of that. One is the doom of, oh my God, what are humans going to do? I worry less about that. I more think, what the fuck does it mean for the economy if we've got infinite growth of humans? So if generally, let's say, population growth or immigration growth, whatever, is at 1%, 2%, 3%, right? And trend rate of GDP has been averaging of like 1.75 in the US. If you suddenly throw in 1 billion AIs and 1 billion robots, you've kind of added 25% of the population of the world. Now, it's not one-for-one match, but what it does is suddenly create outsized economic growth, but in ways we don't understand. The other part of it is productivity. Productivity I think of as the amount of output per unit of energy. Electricity is the generalized energy, and what we're doing is lowering the cost of energy via renewables. People don't see it yet, they don't believe it yet, but what you see of every technological curve is they're all collapsing in cost, and the output's going up. So electricity growth via renewables is just an exponential curve. And Elon's been talking about this, others have been talking about this. It will, within the next 10 years or so, it'll be the largest source of energy on the planet. And then we've got nuclear and other stuff to come into it. When you change productivity, let's say you halve the cost of electricity, you double productivity. Now you've got AI and robots on top. So what we're going to end up in is la-la land in economic terms. Economies we don't understand. And it's not in 20 years' time, the old predictions we used to see. This is like, it's happening in front of our eyes. So then what happens when you've got these technologies doing this? Well, we don't really know. We're already seeing things like, what is a company when you've got AI agents? What does that mean? What do financial markets mean? How does venture capital work? How does private equity work? How do IPO markets work when companies get disrupted? What is software? If you think about the growth of what we know as the technology sector, it's all been software. But that software you can instantly replicate using a more powerful AI. And AI is building its own AI. So it just gets faster and faster and faster. The costs of compute, costs of electricity keep coming down. And you've created different economic systems and different economic actors that didn't exist before. So we don't know what returns look like from markets. I think markets, when you've got, let's say you invent a incredible new software tool, I just stick it into my AI, it copies it immediately, improves on it. Okay, I can do that in 3 minutes. So then what is a business? How do you value a business? Well, it all becomes about attention, something you and I have talked about, and how long you can keep attention. And so companies start trading a lot more like ICOs or meme coins. And the capital structure of markets change. Now, also, Beeple asked me a great question, which was, well, what happens if somebody gets AGI and trains it on markets? Surely they're just going to make $10 trillion and win everything. And it's probably true, right? How do we compete in markets when something vastly more intelligent than us? If you think of the average AI right now as an intelligence, an IQ of about 120, I think is the new ChatGPT and Sonnet 3.5, it's going to go to 400 to 1,000 and then to 1,000,000. So we can't comprehend what any of this means. And so in the end, I think we've got about 6 years. I put 2030 as a rough date when we don't begin to understand how the fuck anything works. And so therefore, I would like to be on the other side of that, protected, which is you got the house that you want, you got the lifestyle that you want, and you don't have to be part of the economic machine.
Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're taking a deep dive into Raoul Pal's predictions on the future of the economy.
Yeah, Pal's got some bold ideas, especially about this exponential age he keeps talking about.
Right. He thinks we're on the verge of this massive shift driven by all these emerging technologies, AI, robotics, renewable energy, the whole 9 yards.
And the thing is, he used to run a hedge fund, so he's coming at it from a financial perspective. Like, how is all this going to change the way we think about economic growth? That's the core question.
Exactly. He really highlights this tension between, like, traditional economic drivers and the potential for truly exponential growth.
Which is kind of mind-blowing when you stop and think about it. Like, for centuries, we've been tied to things like population growth and productivity gains, the usual suspects.
And debt, of course. Don't forget about all the debt.
Right, exactly. But those are starting to hit their limits. Population growth is slowing down in lots of places. Productivity gains are hard to come by, and we're drowning in debt.
So then Pal comes in and says, hold on. What if we could add 1 billion AIs to the workforce? What if we had 1 billion robots operating 24/7? That changes the whole game.
It's like injecting this massive dose of productivity into the system. Suddenly, the old rules they don't apply anymore.
It's almost like, remember how the steam engine revolutionized manufacturing back in the day?
Totally.
This feels like that, but on a scale we can barely even comprehend.
And then you add in the plummeting cost of renewable energy. Cheaper energy fuels, even more productivity.
It's like Pal is saying, this isn't just about tweaking the system a bit, it's about a complete paradigm shift.
Absolutely.
And the implications, they are pretty wild when you start to dig in.
And that's where things get really interesting, because Pal starts asking these fundamental questions about, like, business and markets. How can anything survive when AI can just disrupt everything?
Yeah, it's a good point. Like, how do you even value a company when AI can, just copy any software in like seconds?
Right. And make it better. It's like, does the whole concept of a company even make sense anymore?
Pal almost thinks companies might start trading more like cryptocurrencies.
Yeah. Driven by like hype and attention instead of, these old school metrics.
Think about how volatile crypto is.
Exactly. So much of it is pure speculation. It's like the whole game changes if companies start behaving that way.
And then, of course, there's this whole wild card of AGI, artificial general intelligence.
Oh, yeah. That's where things get really wild. Pal's like, what if someone trained an AGI to game the financial system?
You're talking like unimaginable wealth.
Totally. Imagine an AI that can just, see every market in the world at once.
Find every loophole, every little glitch in the algorithms.
Predict trends before they even happen.
And it's only getting smarter. It's like, can humans even compete at that point?
It's a good question.
And Pal's timeline is, it's pretty aggressive. He thinks this is all happening by like 2030.
Yeah, that's just around the corner.
So he's basically saying we need to find ways to be like protected.
Outside the system.
Right. Like create a lifestyle that isn't totally dependent on this traditional economic machine. It is a lot to think about. Pal's really painting this picture of a future that's kind of, exciting and scary all at the same time.
Right. It's like all our ideas about work and wealth and even what it means to be successful, it's all up for grabs.
So, like, what do we do? How do we even begin to prepare for this?
I think Pal's big point is like adaptability. We got to be ready to learn new stuff, new skills, be open to new tech.
And not be afraid to questioned everything we thought we knew.
Exactly. Like the old rules might not apply anymore.
And that whole thing about creating a secure lifestyle outside the system.
Yeah, that really resonated with me. Like diversifying your income, maybe,
Sure.
or looking at alternative investments.
Maybe learning skills that robots can't do, at least not yet.
Right.
It's almost like this exponential age is forcing us to rethink our whole relationship with the technology.
And work.
Yeah.
And maybe even like intelligence itself.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
But hey, if Pal's even partially right, the next few years are going to be unlike anything we've ever seen.
So much to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.